It seems like something big is going on and something big is about to happen. In this segment of Market Masters, we're going to talk about just that with myself and my good friend, Dr. Kirk Elliott, of what the next few months actually hold, but moreover, what's happened over the past couple of days specifically to bring gold to an all-time high, almost $3,000 an ounce, making silver surge as well to almost $33, going between $32 and $33 an ounce. There's a lot going on, and what Kirk is actually alluding to is there may be a potential to get rid of our national debt of, I think it's like $26 trillion in a very short period of time through monetizing strategic assets that the current administration may be moving forth that will impact everything else in our country, the economy, the world as a whole, and how we invest in the future. Dr. Kirk Elliott, thank you very much for being here.
My word, it's so great to be with you. And this might be the most important show we've ever done together.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal with what you said of the potential based on certain executive orders that were done and signed, and now
Yeah.
the potential and the implications of what something like that actually holds for all of us with that national debt. That's a very big deal and has been growing for a long time. So why don't we talk about that?
So, yeah, we will. And so, if you look at all these stories independently, it's like, well, that's a weird story. That's, I don't see how that could possibly happen, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, and you've got some that this is amazing. We're so glad that Elon Musk is doing this and starting to slash expenses. But when you put all of these stories together and start connecting some of the dots, it actually paints a very interesting picture.
Mhm.
Rather than just an isolated story here and there, they're all working together, in my opinion. So let's put some of these together. So, first of all, the debt. From 1776, when we started this country, we had zero debt on day one. We didn't have time yet to spend like drunken sailors. So it was started at zero. Go all the way to 1980, 204 years. When Reagan became president, our national debt was just under $1 trillion. So imagine this. We went from zero to just about $1 trillion in 204 years. Now, during the last, we're adding about $1 trillion worth of debt every 4 months. Or no, I'm sorry, every 3 months. I mean, so every quarter we're adding about $1 trillion worth of debt.
Just the interest alone is a crazy number.
The interest alone is $1 trillion a year now for the first time ever. So put this into perspective. It took us 204 years to get to a trillion. Now we're adding $1 trillion in debt every 3 months. And just the interest only payments on our debt is $1 trillion a year. It's like, so it's out of control, right?
Yeah.
So there's Trump being elected. It's like a referendum on things that were, right? It's like, we got to get rid of this. You've got Elon Musk and Vivek on the Doge team, and they're cutting expenses. But even if they cut $2 trillion a year out of the budget, which is their goal,
Okay.
I mean, this is good. I don't want to diminish that fact. However, it doesn't do anything
It
in the
takes
sense
too
of,
long. I mean, we're still going to be in a hole.
well, we already spend $1.8 trillion a year more than what we bring in year after year after year. So if they cut 2 trillion and we spend $1.8 trillion more than what we make, you're still not reducing the national debt.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, we're slashing expenses, which is one side of the balance sheet, but now we have to grow income. This is where Trump is actually going with tariffs, right? So it's like, okay, let's do this. Let's tax these other countries. If they want to access the wealthy American consumers and sell their stuff to us, they have to pay to play,
Yep.
right? How do you pay to play? It's like, this is the tariff. This is your tax. If you want to sell all of your junk to all of us U.S. consumers, this is your entry fee. Well, that's the way that the founding fathers envisioned it too. It's not Trump's idea. It's an old idea, right? But now add to this one other element, one other story of Trump wanting to, well, he's stated, as has the Secretary of Commerce, as has Elon Musk, that they want to get rid of personal income taxes.
That's also an amazing
I
thing.
mean,
And
so
by the way, technically, Personal income tax is voluntary. If you look at the IRS code, it is
I know.
voluntary, but they come after you if you don't do it.
Yeah, it's like voluntary, but it's not.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
mafia.
because it's been the thing for so long. It's like, okay, try to deviate from that. It doesn't matter what the law says. You don't do it and you're going to tax jail, right?
Yeah.
So it's just become a thing. So imagine this. Other countries paying for all of our expenses, Americans get to keep another 30% or so of their income. We become the most prosperous nation almost overnight. So
Okay.
these stories are adding together. Now, there's over the last 2 weeks, there's been this increasing story coming out of London. So the Bank of England and the LBMA is just an acronym for like the London Bullion Marketing Association. I don't know what
You
LBMA
you
stands
were on a
for.
call with them the other day.
Yeah, I was on a call with them yesterday, just listening in. I was not speaking. It was a global conference call that I
Right.
was listening to because this increasing story of gold leaving the Bank of England's vaults and it's no longer there. They don't have enough to fulfill physical delivery. So,
Where is it going?
good question, right? So it's not going to China. You know, people think, oh, China's taking all the gold in the world. No, it's not. It's not going there, right? And it's become such a big deal that now the Bank of England and the LBMA is saying anybody who has gold stored in the LBMA vaults, we will pay you 16% a month to borrow your gold that you have stored to us so we can use it for physical delivery.
What's the guarantee on that? Just as a side note.
There isn't one. I mean, you just intuitively just thought, okay, because if they
16%
don't
a month
have
is
any,
massive.
yeah, if they don't have any, and they're saying we'll pay you 16% a month to borrow it so we can ship it out, it's no longer there. You're not getting it back. It's a stupid thing, right? So this is what they're doing. It's hit critical mass. So where is the gold going? This is the other part of the story. It's coming to New York. So it's in the COMEX, the CME COMEX vaults in America. And so, I mean, massive amounts of gold inventory. While silver inventory is like almost gone, this gold inventory is shooting through the roof. And no, I couldn't figure it out for the first week. A few weeks ago when this started, it's like, why in the world would you have all this gold inventory? Because central banks around the globe are gobbling it up by the hundreds or thousands of tons, right? I mean, there's central banks are using gold to back up their currencies. But this is where the story unfolds. So it's coming to America. It's in the vaults. We can go to the CME website and look at the available inventory. There's a lot of it, right? And
Right.
this is where it's all going. And there's stories and international media publications of cargo planes leaving various countries full of gold, full of silver, bringing it to America.
All to
So,
New York?
uh-huh, all to the COMEX vaults in the
Why?
CME COMEX vaults. Good question. So this is where when Trump started his tariffs, 25% on Canada and Mexico, and then he delayed them for 30 days, right? So the 25% tariff was supposed to hit February 1st. They delayed it till March 1st because Canada and Mexico both complied. Of course, they're going to comply. This is the amazing negotiating power that the US and Trump has, because if they want to sell their stuff to Americans, they better comply. Again, this is their price of admission. So they put 10,000 troops on the southern Canadian border. The Mexico put 10,000 troops on the northern Mexican border, and to stop fentanyl and whatever other kind of trafficking they're doing. So, but Trump said, well, you're not getting away. That's not all we want. We're going to initiate these 25% tariffs in March. Well, this is where but he did add 10% tariffs on China and Hong Kong. There's a lot of gold coming from China and Hong Kong that's going to be 10% more expensive. 80% of all of the silver refinery product that makes 100-ounce bars, 10-ounce bars, 1-ounce Silver Eagles, whatever in America, 80% of that's coming from Mexico. There's no exclusions on the tariffs. So that means overnight, the price of silver could go up
So you're
25%.
you're saying that simply because of the tariffs, the price of silver and gold are going up?
Yeah, that's part of it, right? So because
Wow.
because refineries in America, a report from the Scottsdale Mint 2 weeks ago said they're 3 months backlogged.
Wait, wait,
So,
wait. I'm sorry to cut you off. I got to ask you something. When do those tariffs kick in? Because the right thing to do, if they're going to kick in and raise that price by so much, isn't it smarter just to get it before the tariffs kick in?
oh yeah, because the tariffs aren't going to impact the spot price. The tariffs are going to impact the price of buying and selling,
Do you have
right?
a date of when those tariffs are kicking in?
Well, he already said March 1st.
March 1st,
March 1st. Yep.
2025. So if anybody does want to go invest in gold and silver, you do it before March 1st, is what you're
I
saying.
would because as of now, there are no exclusions on anything. Even with China, where a lot of the gold is coming from, the the China tariffs and Hong Kong tariffs, they got rid of the exclusions for small ticket items, right? So there is no exclusions. Even the US Postal Service last week stopped any parcels coming from China or Hong Kong into America. They're just stopping them at the customs office. You can't get them.
Wow.
All they're letting through is like letters, right? So they're not messing around. Literally, Trump is not messing around on this. So the story has, and then yesterday, Trump enacted 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum from whatever country they come from. It doesn't matter. See, he's trying to make America great again. He's trying to bring manufacturing back to America. This is how he got elected the first time was because the Rust Belt woke up.
Okay.
West Virginia, Kentucky, parts of Ohio, Pittsburgh. It's like, we want our jobs. We want Trump, right? So there's named the Rust Belt for a reason because all the manufacturing went somewhere else. It's old and it's not being used and it gets rusty.
Wow.
So now by putting these tariffs on steel and aluminum on from other countries, it's going to make it more expensive. He wants to bring manufacturing back. So Trump is being effective on all these things. Now,
But he basically wants to bring everything back to being made in America, purchasing within, bring the economy up in that way.
yeah, because if foreign goods are more expensive, people are going to not purchase them. They'll replace that with American goods that are relatively less expensive. Since jobs follow manufacturing, if we're doing the manufacturing, we're going to have more jobs, more people working, more people spending, more revenue, right? So all the markets could increase in time, but it's going to be a little bit. It's not going to
So
happen overnight.
what about this whole thing of monetizing assets,
Yeah.
getting rid of the debt? I mean, where do we stand with that?
Yeah, so that's the next part of this story that needs to unfold because with all this gold leaving London coming to New York, people thought the first narrative was, well, these importers of gold and silver, they want to avoid Trump's tariff. So they're just getting it across the border now, right? So they don't have to pay 25% because these banks that have massive short positions on silver and gold, if they go up in value, they're losing money hand over fist. So people thought, okay, they're just getting it across the border before Trump's tariffs are enacted. I don't think that's the real reason. I think it's because of the press announcement that was made 2 days ago
Okay.
with Trump and Secretary of Treasury Bessent. So people can Google it, they can watch it. And it says this said, in the next 12 months, within the next 12 months, we will start monetizing the assets on America's balance sheet.
And
And then
what assets do they mean by that?
yeah, so they signed this order, right? So it's like, what are assets? People who monetize the assets on the balance sheet, they don't know what that means. So, what assets do we have as a country that you could monetize? Monetize means you're going to make money off of it,
Yeah. Well,
right?
you could say land, you could say oil, you could say gold, you could say silver.
Yeah, you could say all of that. Like sovereign wealth funds in the Middle East, they have all their oil. That's how they monetize their assets. Now, in America, not much of the oil production is nationalized. It's private,
Okay.
right? So, and the oil that we did have in the strategic oil reserves is like down to nothing because Biden got rid of it. So we don't really have any oil to asset there. So, but we've got land. We've got tons of federal land all over the West. But that doesn't produce income. mean, yeah, you can get tickets from national park entrance, but that's it, right? So really, what they have to do, and using Trump's words, is drill, baby, drill, and open up the oil and natural gas
If they
resources that
were
we
to
have.
monetize in that way,
If
correct?
you wanted to monetize your land, that's what you would have to do. This is not what they're talking about. So, in my opinion, so what they're talking about is stuff that they already have and policies that they're enacting. So Trump made an announcement a while back that he wanted to have Bitcoin strategic reserve, or
Okay.
basically not just Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency strategic reserve to back up the US dollar. That would be an asset, right? If they own all this cryptocurrency and it's owned by the United States, well, then you participate in that growth. That could easily be something that they could monetize. They also have tons of gold, right? Estimated 8,500 tons of gold, right? So 8,500 tons, and they use this archaic pricing mechanism from the 1950s. It makes zero sense to me,
Based on
where
what?
based on what gold was in the 1950s. So
That's what they
$42
buy
and
it at?
yeah, that's how they value it. So they value gold at the Federal Reserve at $42.02 an ounce,
Okay.
because I don't know. It's the stupidest law ever, right? So probably because for decades the central banks wanted to poo-poo gold, and they said, "No, we want to keep this arbitrarily low. We've got our own paper version of currency that we want to, employ." So if they mark to the market, meaning they just value their 8,500 tons at what gold is worth, which is about $3,000 an ounce, they'd have over $40 trillion worth of gold. So imagine this: $40 trillion of gold, our national debt's 37 trillion. Just by this one thing, revaluing gold with what they have, they could pay off the national debt overnight, right? So is this what they're talking about national or monetizing their assets? Possibly. But I think there's a lot to this, because when you start to put the puzzle pieces together, gold leaving London, all these cargo planes coming to New York. Then Trump makes this announcement with Besant that they want to monetize our assets, and all this gold is coming to New York. It's almost, to me, all these stories are coming together. And I think what they want to do is basically like do an audit. They're pulling all the gold that they might have in different vaults all over the world. They're bringing it back to the homeland, so to speak. They're repatriating what they have, bringing it back for such a time as this.
Yeah, but to do that, they would have to sell everything.
They would ultimately have to sell it.
What does that do to the United States if they were to do that and we don't have any more gold?
Well, then the price of gold goes skyrocketing, right? Which is probably why it's going up now, because London doesn't have enough availability to really fund any kind of distributions out of that for central banks that want it. Now, if you really truly wanted to monetize it, make the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund, well, you could turn it into a security, right? So you have all these assets and you could start selling shares in that. I mean, there's a lot of things that they possibly could do. But to me, when you've got the gold leaving the rest of the world, coming back home to roost, and then you've got these announcements that are being made by Trump and Besant that they want to monetize our assets. To me, I think that the real story is we will probably go back to a gold-backed currency.
So with
Imagine.
that, I mean, for the past 2 years, right, we've been focused on silver. And you always said when the time is right, we're going to make a change and move over to gold. Is that
Yep.
time coming anytime soon?
I think we'll probably have the first ratio trade within the next 90 days,
Okay.
where we can, about maybe 25% to 40% of a person's portfolio. And that would be at 60 to 1. Today, the ratio is 90 to 1. We would do that at 60 to 1. At 40 to 1, we would probably do the rest of it. So at that point, which probably will be before the end of this year, we will be 100% out of silver and into gold. But here's where we've got all this talk of gold right now. The crazy thing is, silver, that story isn't being told. But the supply demand discrepancies because of industrial usage on silver, it's way worse than the gold story, as far as inventory is concerned. So silver, I believe, as much as we're talking about gold, all-time highs, silver is going to do better than gold in the short and medium term, which is why we're still in it, right? And so this is the dynamics of the world that we're living in. Now, I don't care what the actual real story is. We'll probably find out in a matter of weeks. If it's China telling COMEX, hey, we're going to require physical delivery of all these futures contracts that we have, you better start bringing it back into COMEX because you're going to have to deliver it to us. I don't care if that's the story or if it's the Trump part where they're going to probably use it as backing to our currency, like like the BRICS nations have already announced 40% of their common BRICS currency is going to be backed by gold. Russia using silver as a strategic reserve to the ruble. Countries are going to tangible backing. I don't see how we're going to be any different if we want to stay relevant. So this is where either one of them is going to diminish the supply, increase the demand. If we own the asset that the countries of the world and the United States are after, you don't have to be a hedge fund and have billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars to participate. $500 is all it takes to start allocating into physical silver, and about $3,000 to allocate into physical gold because of where they're priced.
Yeah.
See, just start doing what the big entities are doing, but at your level, right? And this is what we've been doing for decades for our clients, is allowing you to invest like the big boys, but with smaller amounts. Same assets, right? Just whatever. I mean, if you're worth, I've got clients that are billionaires and they have tens and millions of assets in metals. And I've got people that are worth $500 and they've given me everything that they've got. Right. And it's like, but it doesn't matter how much we want to bend over backwards to help everybody that has a dream to protect and preserve their assets. And we can help you accomplish that.
100%. That's why I work with you.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we do this. So it sounds like the next best thing to be able to do just in the short term is before March 1st with those tariffs that are going to be coming in and implemented, get whatever you can. It's just a
Yeah.
good opportunity.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're on the fence and thinking about it, I'm never an urgency kind of a guy. I'm way too mellow for that. It's like, yeah, think about it, pray about it. Whenever you come to a decision, just let me know. We'll bend over backwards to help. This is the first time literally in my career since 2002 that I almost have like this inkling to spread an urgency message, right? It's like,
No, it's a big deal. It
I mean,
makes
it's
sense.
against the grain of who I am, but these things, if there isn't urgency to it because it's just markets going as normal, okay, you got in at a good time and it's going to continue to go up and it's going to be amazing for you. If this does happen and Trump doesn't put any exclusions on the tariffs from Canada and Mexico when they're supposed to be enacted on March 1st, you could see the price go up overnight, literally overnight. So
Yeah,
either way, it's like if you're thinking about it, I would do it sooner rather than later because you don't want to wait if that does happen, which I honestly think that it will, or else I wouldn't be talking about it. So
100%.
yeah. So anyways, I'm never an urgency kind of guy.
No,
Urg-
totally. Listen,
ur-
it's a good opportunity.
yeah.
I like seeing opportunities, sharing opportunities with everybody. And every time you speak, I say, okay, where is the opportunity that we can share with everybody? And I see this as a good one. It's not about urgency, it's about opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So for everybody watching right now, if you're new to any of this, there is the Market Masters series right here on my YouTube channel. You can watch the entire series, new episodes coming out for the most part every week, sometimes every other week. There is a link in the description below this video. Make sure to fill out that link. It's the ability to book a free consultation with Dr. Kirk Elliott and his team. Generally, you'll get in touch with somebody from his team. And if it's for you, which it probably is because a lot of people are going in this direction right now, you can only gain. You have nothing to lose because it doesn't cost you anything to learn and educate yourself on this topic. So my recommendation to each and every one of you, because I have an obligation to share opportunities with all of you, is book a free consultation as soon as humanly possible, not because of urgency, but because there's an opportunity right now over the next 3 weeks. There's a link in the description below this video. Fill it out, get in touch with them. and always share your feedback with me of what your experience was like with Dr. Kirk Elliott and his team, because it puts a smile on my face when I hear good news. And I love sharing that with everybody as well. So, Kirk, thank you very much for today. And thank you for sharing this news with us.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Subscribe.